Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics, and in this video we are going to be bringing you the last of the Breeding for Profit series, and that is we're going to be looking at a 55-gallon aquarium and what you can breed in that aquarium that may make you a little bit of money. The reason we're stopping here is as we get into the larger aquariums, 75 gallons and above, what I've tried to do throughout this series is bring you fish that fit nicely into those size tanks and, as the name implies, will allow you to make a little bit of money. Once we get into the 75 gallons or above, the numbers of options becomes reduced, and of course the upfront cost is increased due to the upfront cost of the tank and all the equipment. So breeding for profit becomes a little bit more difficult in those larger tanks. And if you have those larger tanks and want options, this video as well as all the ones previous to this in the Breeding for Profit series are still really good, solid options for your larger tanks. All right, so what are we doing in this video? Just like the other videos, I want to bring you some fish that you can breed well if you've got neutral or higher pH and maybe harder water, or maybe you're someone who's got a pH that is less than neutral and you have a little bit softer water. So we're going to be looking at some options there. And of course, we're looking at fish that really wouldn't do well in a smaller than a 55-gallon aquarium. So one of the fish I really like for a 55-gallon aquarium is Ciprochromis leptosoma. We've done species profiles on many of these fish. Ciprochromis is one of them. I will put those down in the description below if you want more information on how to breed them. But Ciprochromis is a fantastic fish. The males get amazing color, and at least in our area, they can sell for quite a bit, especially if you go to a local fish store. It's not uncommon to see these fish going from anywhere between $30 to $50 a piece. Now, the downside to breeding Ciprochromis leptosoma and the other Ciprochromis genus is the shipping. They don't ship well. And so these tend to be fish that would do really well if you've got a local fish store that you can bring them to. They do really well if you've got somebody maybe coming to your house to pick them up, or you want to drop them off, or if you've got swaps and auctions. Those are all really good options. A 55-gallon would be a good option for these fish because you've got that 4-foot length and they are fairly active. Now we have them breeding in a 40-gallon breeder, but ideally, if I could set it up again, I would put them in a 55. Another really good option besides Ciprochromis are the feather fins. These are Lake Tanganyika fish, just like the Ciprochromis are. So both of these are good options. If your water's on the higher pH and on the higher hardness side, the feather fins can be absolutely stunning. I've seen these fish go at swaps and auctions for as much as anywhere between $30 to $80 to $100 a piece. In the pet stores, again, if you get them that are colored up, easily, at least in our area, you can expect to see somewhere between $50 and $100 per fish. Again, they don't ship well because they are Lake Tanganyika fish. They tend to be sensitive to ammonia and fluctuations in temperature. But just like with the Ciprochromis, if you've got a pet store that you can sell to, or you've got swaps or auctions, or you've got people coming to your house maybe via Craigslist, then this could be a really good option. For both the Ciprochromis and the feather fins, it might take you a little bit of time to grow them up because the males won't start showing color until they're right around that 2.5 to 3 inch mark, but the wait is well worth it. These are absolutely stunning fish, and again, that would fit really nice into that 55-gallon. The other option you have for a 55-gallon are the African peacock cichlids from Lake Malawi. Again, a little bit harder water, a little bit higher pH. In the previous video, we talked about some of the peacocks that stay on the smaller side for a 40-gallon breeder. Here with the 55, I think we could pretty much do most of the African peacocks where we've got a male and multiple females. Again, you just want to be careful of a few things. One, make sure whatever you're breeding is not already readily available in your area. Make sure the males are something that people are really going to want to buy, and you're going to have to figure out, just like we mentioned in the last video, what you're going to do with the females that typically stay either brown or silver and really aren't in high demand unless a person is looking to breed them and start their colony of their own. So we're going to have to hang on to them for a little while because the larger they get, the more money they're going to be. So if you've got full-size male peacocks, you might easily be able to get $20, $25, $30 a piece. That's if you sell them direct. Pet stores is going to pay a little bit less. But if you're just giving a pet store a lot of 1.5 inch to 2 inch fish that are all basically silver and brown, you're not going to get nearly as much because they know if the fish stay that color, they're probably not going to be able to sell them. All right, well, what if you've got water that's a little bit on the softer side? Maybe it's a little bit more acidic. Well, here we're looking at a few options. One option I think is really good, and that is most of the geophagus. Now, in the previous video, we talked specifically about geophagus top host in a 40 breeder. Once you start getting into larger tanks, 55 gallons and above, I think it's very easy to consider the rest of the geophagus, whether that's Geophagus brasiliensis, Geophagus altifrons, Geophagus weinmilleri. I think the brasiliensis might be something I would more kind of stay away from just because they get a little bit more aggressive, but the weinmilleri, the altifrons, those types of geophagus are really good options. They get extremely nice colors. The fins look amazing. Gonna have to have a little bit of patience because they do tend to grow a little bit slower and they don't tend to show color right away, so you're gonna have to probably grow them up to around the 2.5 to 3 inch mark. But these are fantastic fish, and the nice thing about the geophagus, like the weinmilleri and the altifrons and maybe the juapari, they don't get as aggressive as some of the other types of cichlids, and so they're a little bit easier to sell. Another option, if you've got water that is neutral or maybe slightly on the acidic side and softer side, are severums. Now here, I would only recommend keeping a pair, right? We're talking about breeding for profit. We're not talking about a community tank. Severums can get fairly large, and even a 75 gallon, that's probably the minimum for long term what I would keep them at in terms of the volume. But when we're talking about breeding, a pair in a 55 gallon tank might work out well. But once again, with the severums, there are multiple types. You've got green severums and golds and red spotted golds and red shoulders. The green severums probably are going to be the least, going to bring you in the least amount of money, but the golds are nice. The red spotted golds are very pretty. The red shoulders are really nice. So once you start getting into more of those severums with a lot of color, that's going to bring in a little bit more money for you. With a 55 gallon, we can also talk about maybe having a discus pair in a tank like that with a breeding cone. Again, long term, I don't necessarily like discus in a 55. I think they need a larger tank, but if we're just talking about a breeding pair, 55 gallon would be adequate for that role. Now with the discus, you do have to have a little bit of experience with fish. They're a little bit more finicky, and especially when it comes to raising fry and keeping the parents healthy, it's gonna take a little bit of work and a little bit of research on your part. We've done breeding and care videos for discus. And again, most of the fish that we've talked about, I'll put those in the description below. The last fish I want to talk about in a 55 are rainbow fish. These are great fish. I think they deserve at least a 4-foot tank just due to their activity level. They are egg scatterers, so we're dealing with a fish that's different from what we've talked about so far. But a 55 with some rainbow fish, as long as you've got some spawning mops in there that you can remove to other tanks, might be a pretty cool option. There's some specialized feeding that needs to go on with the fry that you'll have to research, but it's certainly an option for that size tank. All right, everyone, so again, if you want to see how to breed some of these fish, check out the description. If you want some other ideas for breeding fish, even in a 55 gallon tank, check out this 40 gallon breeding options. And then also down here, the 29 gallon breeding options will give you even more potential fish to breed in your tank. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.